What's up? This is Eric, and today I'm going to show you how to make your 808's sound more bassy, how to mix them, and how to make them sound more full, and just general tips and stuff that I use. First of all, you could download my 808 samples. The link is in the description. Also on Instagram, it's in my bio. My website link is called the Grunge 808 Sample Pack, and those are already mostly pre-mixed and stuff already. They already sound good out of the gate. I made them with this synth right here. Most of them are just sine wave envelope, some pitch envelope, either like a sawtooth or like mostly a square wave, because square waves are like the loudest, I think, sounding, I guess, signal, the loudest sounding sound wave there is. And then you could load them up into a sampler. So here's the pitch envelope here. Some of them I have them run through a filter where I give like some cutoff and resonance. It makes for interesting sound. So here we go. Here's the bass line that I have. So there's some legato right here, but what I want to show you is how I distort. I usually use any distortion plugin would work, but you could get creative with it. I like to use diode distortion, tube distortion. You could shape your own distortion yourself with like a sound shaper. Usually the more creative you get with this, like the more unique the sounds you get. So that sounds interesting. Sometimes I use phase distortion to distort the highs. Here we have Logic's phase distortion, and it looks like there's a filter there. You can turn the cutoff and the resonance up so it only affects the high end, because you don't want the low end to be all phased. So what that does is kind of makes it sound wider when you turn up the delay, and then it's only on the higher frequencies. So here's the part that I wanted to show you. This is what I use. This plugin, Low Air by Waves, is the best way to get any bass sound to sound subby. With just with the presets, you throw this on here. Subharmonic mastering is a pretty clean one. All the other ones are used for like film and TV sound effects, and they'll make your bass like muddy and choppy, like the Earthquake one and Speaker Destroyer. Those things are like too crazy for like the club, too crazy for stuff, unless you're making like a film with surround sound or something. Even then, it's just annoying sounding, I think. But you could play around with these presets. But the main one I use, and I think that a lot of other engineers use because I hear it, is the subharmonic mastering. Here's without it. speakers with it. You can mix with this one between the two sounds. So it's adding that low, super low end. The range it's adding the low end in is from 60 hertz below to 20 hertz. And the low air is that shakiness. The knob right here. You don't want that if you're making music. But don't listen to me. You know, you can experiment with it. It's art. So this low end is the amount of that you want. The amount of subharmonic sub add the when it adds the super low stuff. Usually I play around with that, but I like to have some of the high end in there too. So yeah, and then sometimes I use compression with like a fast attack and release for the kick, sidechain to the kick. Sometimes I use you could also use dynamic EQ, which is a very like advanced kind of, I guess the best. It's like using a multi-band compressor or a dynamic EQ to sidechain to your kick so that it ducks whenever it ducks only these frequencies that the kick has when the kick comes in. So yeah. So that's the cleanest way to do it, I think. You just mimic the shape of the kick. You could also use a noise gate. I tend to use like a mixture of all of these, but compression sounds good too. Cause the dynamic EQ ducking it's CPU heavy. Most people don't have like a super fast, powerful computer. Most people use like laptops, so I mean, unless you're like super like professional and like got all the money for in the world for like a fast computer and you want to be like the best, you could use the best plugins and stuff all the time. But yeah, it's kind of what I do. That's a sample of how I mix and make my basses, 808's, more powerful. So another thing I do is on the master bus channel, I get an imager and everything below 200 hertz to, let's say, 175. It's kind of got like a, what do you call it? Like a small roll off here. So I kind of turn it up to like 90, so it sounds extra clean. Everything below that cutoff, I turn the stereo width to negative 100. And that just makes it less muddy. Here's what it sounds like. Which you want to avoid sometimes, but you can make it. Some people do this, but making the stereo bass or the sub bass stereo widened. But you run into problems in the club, generally speaking, when you do that. The bass could like just completely disappear on some speakers. Anyways, so yeah, the high-end sound resonance brought in by the distortion will make it sound good through headphones or any type of speaker. This thing will make it sound good on headphones for sure, and then if you have a good sound system or a car, this thing will just feel like amazing. You can feel that like bass like in your chest, the clean sub with the subharmonic mastering on the low air plugin. And there's another one that I used to use, but before I figured out about, there's another preset I use on this before I figured out subharmonic mastering, and it's very low indeed. So subharmonic mastering lets in a little bit more of the natural sound. And there's like less craziness. I think let's try solid bass. So when you add, some other presets have like a crazy phasing. It's more used for theater sound design, like when you want the speakers to shake and stuff. So yeah, check out my 808 sample pack. It's called Grunge 808's. I'll have a link for that in the description. It's free, and I still use those 808's like a lot, all the time when I'm making beats, and I think they sound pretty good. Peace. See you next time.